Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Android with Naga. Let me ask you a simple question. If someone gave you 12 months to become an Android developer and get hired, what exactly would you learn? Kotlin, Jetpack Compose, or problem solving, DSA, system design, projects? The problem is not lack of resources. The problem is that there are too many resources. One person says learn compose first, one person says XML first, and someone else says learn DSA before Android. And after months of learning, many students are still confused about what companies actually expect from you. So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact Android developer roadmap for 2026. If I had to start from zero again and get a job as fast as possible, this is exactly what I would do. Before we talk about the roadmap, let's talk about the biggest mistakes. Mistake number one, learning random topics. Like today you are learning Kotlin, tomorrow you are learning Compose, and next week system design. And that is like no structure, no direction. That is problem one. And the mistake number two is watching tutorials without building the project. You feel productive while listening to the tutorials, but when someone asks you to build an application from scratch, you don't know where to start. That's very common one, right? And then mistake number three is ignoring DSA. Many Android developers don't lose interviews because of Android. They lose because they can't solve the coding questions. Avoid these mistakes and you are already ahead of many people. So now let's talk about the roadmap. Phase 1, master the Kotlin first. Many beginners like rush directly into the Android. Don't do it. Android is built using Kotlin. If your Kotlin is weak, Android will feel difficult. First learn what are variables, functions, classes, objects, inheritance, interfaces, collections, lambda expressions, generics, exception handling, coroutines, flows, and you don't need to become a Kotlin expert, but you should be able to comfortable writing logic without copying code from the tutorials. Spend around 3 to 4 weeks here, and trust me, this investment will save you months later. And here is why this phase matters a lot. And interviews often ask questions like what is the difference between like list, set, and map, and what is lambda expression actually, and what is the difference between launch and async, and where we use them and why we use them. If your Kotlin fundamentals are weak, and you will struggle later no matter how much Android you learn. And now let's come to the phase 2, Android fundamentals. Once Kotlin feels comfortable, you start with Android. Learn what are activities, what are intents, what is activity lifecycle, fragments, navigation, component, recycler view, view binding, permissions, storage, networking basics. These all are things. The goal is simple: understand how Android applications work. Don't worry about advanced architecture yet. Focus on the fundamentals because every advanced concept built on top of these basics. So interviewers frequently ask what happens when a user rotates the screen, like what is the difference between explicit and implicit intents, and why is recycler view more efficient than list view. If you can answer these questions, your fundamentals are becoming strong. So that's phase 2. Now let's get into the phase 3. Learn MVVM architecture. This is where you start thinking like a professional Android developer. Most modern Android apps use MVVM. Learn what is view model, what is live data, what is state flow, uh, what is repository pattern, and dependency injections basics. Why do we need architecture at all? And because real applications become difficult to manage without a structure. A simple notes app may work without architecture, but a production application at the won't work like that. So this phase teaches you how professionals organize the code. These topics are asked constantly in Android interviews. And the questions you will get in interviews like why do we use view model? And what problem does the repository pattern solve? And what is the difference between live data and state flow, and why we prefer state flow uh, rather than the live data flow instead of live data? And if you can answer this confidently, you are already ahead of many candidates. So this is phase 3, and we'll come to phase 4, modern Android development. Now it's time to learn the technologies companies actually use, like Jetpack Compose, state management, flow, state flow, shared flow, room database, retrofit, dependency injection, work manager, paging. At this point, you are no longer learning Android basics. You are learning modern Android development. This is where many interview questions come from. So, for example, the questions like why we use room instead of SQLite, when would you use shared flow instead of state flow, what problem does Hilt solve, when should you use work manager instead of coroutines? At this point, most students quit, not because Android is hard, but because the excitement is gone and the real work begins. If you reach this stage, you are already ahead of thousands of learners. So that is what phase 4 is. And now let's get into the phase 5. Build real projects. This is the phase where most people skip, and this is the phase that gets people hyped. Build projects, not toy projects, real projects. For example, employee directory app, expense tracker, e-commerce app, chart application, movie application, weather application, task management app. Each project should include like tools or technologies like MVVM architecture, retrofit, room, flow, dependency, injection, error handling, offline support. The goal is not to build many applications. The goal is to build a few good apps. One strong project is worth more than 10 copied projects. Remember, projects are where theory becomes skill. Companies don't hire notes, they hire proof. Projects are the proof of your work. So that's phase 5. And the phase 6 is DSA. Now let's talk about something many Android developers avoid: DSA, data structures and algorithms. Whether you like it or not, many companies still ask DSA questions. So you have to learn what are arrays, strings, linked lists, stacks, queues, trees, hash maps, recursion, sorting, searching, and also you need to practice them regularly, not just viewing one or two random YouTube videos and not leaving it. You have to practice one or two questions every day. Consistency matters more than the intensity. I know many Android developers hate hearing the word DSA, but trust me, failing one coding round after months of Android preparation hurts a lot more than solving one problem a day. Questions about arrays, hash maps, stacks, and trees appear regularly in interviews. So this is what phase 6 is, and phase 7 is system design. For freshers, basic system design is enough. For experienced developers, it becomes very important. Learn how apps communicate with servers. What is caching, offline first architecture, scalability, concepts, authentication, push notifications, API design basics. You don't need to become an architect overnight. Just understand how large applications are built. So here the questions you may get is like, how would you design a WhatsApp like chat application? How would you cache API responses? How would you support offline usage? These questions test how you think, not what you memorize. So that's what phase 7 is. Now let's get into phase 8, interview preparation. Now prepare for interviews. Create a professional resume, upload the projects to GitHub, optimize LinkedIn, practice Android interview questions, practice Kotlin interview questions, practice DSA questions, do mock interviews. Remember, a good developer can still fail if they cannot explain their work. Communication matters a lot, and you can use the chat gpt or any other AI tools for your mock interviews questions and all that. And reality check is, let's understand this. So what about AI? So AI can build Android apps, yes, absolutely. AI can generate code, yes. Can AI explain concepts? Yes, obviously. and they will uh, explain very better way. But you to just write the code, they are hiring people who can solve problems, people who can debug, people who can understand the requirements, people who can make decisions. Today AI can generate code in seconds, but when the app crashes only on Android 16, when a memory leak happens in production, when user reports a bug that nobody can reproduce, that's when companies need developers who understand what the code is doing. AI is a tool. The better your fundamentals, the more powerful that tool becomes. So, if I were starting from zero in 2026, my roadmap would be first Kotlin, then Android fundamentals, then architecture, then modern Android, then projects, then DSA, then system design and interview preparation. Don't don't try to learn everything at once. Focus on one phase, complete it, then move to next. And remember, consistency beats intensity. 1 hour every day for a year better than studying 10 hours a week and quitting. If this roadmap helped you, make sure to subscribe to Android with Naga. And I will see you in next video. And